Good morning, library friends. We're back at the Red Bank Public Library in our program called Family Story Time on Race and Diversity. I'm Sira Williams, and today I'm royalty. Do you like my crown? Do you like my crown? Today we're talking about kings and queens. Do you know that a king or a queen is somebody who is admired? Maybe because they're powerful, but sometimes we call somebody a king or a queen because they're a superstar or they're totally awesome at something that they do. Somebody could be called the king of the soccer field or the queen of the library. Maybe your teacher is the queen of your classroom. There was a time when we called like the dad the king of the castle and the mom the queen of the house or the family. But today, when we're talking about kings, we're talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we're celebrating this month and who was admired as a powerful leader and speaker and philosopher and person who lived a life of service to make the world a better place for all of us. And so I want to remind you that the whole point of this program is to encourage you to have conversations about issues of race and justice and equality and unity. And those are things that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was all about. And so I'm excited to share with you today a little bit about his story and how we can be kings and queens like him. So I'm going to jump in and read the story because it will spark conversation for you. And let's get to it. Let's get to it. I want you to pay attention to the illustrations because they're going to bounce back and forth between these children on the cover at school, kids just like you, and then you'll see illustrations featuring Dr. Martin Luther King and other historical events in the civil rights movement, and the words of the story will tie those two things together. So the book is called Be a King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Dream and You. It's by Carole Boston Weatherford and illustrated by James E. Ransom. And I'm going to scooch so you can see the illustrations. And there's the kids on their way to school. Be a king. Starts with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I'm just going to read the first line. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. That's what it boils down to. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You can be a king. Marvel at creation. Keep the faith of your ancestors. You can be a king. Know that bigotry hurts. Remember how you felt when treated unfairly. You can be a king. Admit that you've done wrong. Just say, I'm sorry, and mean it. You can be a king. Know that dividing walls should come down. You have glimpsed the other side. You can be a king. Break the chains of ignorance. Learn as much as you can. You can be a king. Stand for peace. Band together against bullies. You can be a king. Sing a song of freedom. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. You can be a king. Stamp out hatred. Put your foot down and walk tall. You can be a king. Answer your critics. Believe in your cause and state it plainly. You can be a king. Have a dream. Make yours great enough to grow into. You can be a king. Make the world take notice and do your very best, whatever you do. You can be a king. Beat the drum for justice. March to your own conscience. You can be a king. Lift up the less fortunate. Be a king or queen of help. You can be a king. Set your sights on the mountaintop. Climb a little higher every day. That's the end of the book. There's a nice long author's note that gives some more detail about Dr. Martin Luther King and his work. And this book is full of suggestions and words on how we can be kings and queens in our lives and in service of others. So there's really a lot to talk about from this story. It's a good book for you to come and check out from the library so you can have some real conversations. I'm going to pull out just one or two. I want to talk about this page. It says, you can be a king, stand for peace, band together against bullies. Do you see what's happening on this page? Now this boy is, for some reason, not letting this other young person participate. And his friends and classmates are standing up for him and saying, come on, we have to share, we have to work together. And he's reluctantly handing over the yellow paint. Well, can you think of a time when you stood up for somebody, for another person who wasn't being treated fairly? I hope you can think of a lot of examples. How did that happen, and how did it make you feel to do that? Because we know when you stand up for somebody that it makes them feel so good to know that there's somebody out there who sees them and is supportive of them. But I bet it made you feel great too. And that's the thing about doing acts of kindness. They're magical. because they warm people's hearts, they lift people up, but they do the same for you when you do that. And so I want to show you something. This made me think of something that from my childhood, basically. This is called a little warm fuzzy. We used to collect these and trade them, and they come from a story. I think it comes from a book. I'll have to look for that. But when you give somebody a warm fuzzy, it makes them feel warm and fuzzy and happy inside. And you give somebody a warm fuzzy, not just this little guy, but by saying something to brighten their day. Like I could give you a warm fuzzy and say, hey, I love your new haircut. Or you are so funny. I love hanging out with you. That's a warm fuzzy. You could say, wow, you did amazing on your math test. I'm so proud of you. That's a warm fuzzy. You could say, I love your new shoes. Those are so cool. I bet they make you run so fast. That's a warm fuzzy. So this is what I want you to know. If you go out and give a warm fuzzy to 2 people today, number one, that's easy to do. And again, it makes them feel so warm and fuzzy that they might turn around and give warm fuzzies themselves to 2 more people. And what if they did that? If these 2 people gave warm fuzzies to 2 more people, look. Oh no, that's 6 warm fuzzies right there. And say that these people now gave 2 warm fuzzies each. Here's more warm fuzzies. And then these people go out and give warm fuzzies. You'll never believe this. Look at all the warm fuzzies that we could start. A little chain reaction and spread warm fuzzies all over the place. And if I did that, what if that started with just me giving 2 warm fuzzies? And then they gave warm fuzzies and so on and so on. So if I did that and you did that and they did that and they did that, think of how many warm fuzzies would be out in the world just today. Let's do it. Let's do it. If I could bring back the warm fuzzy, that would be awesome. So that's something that you could think about. Keep those warm fuzzies in your mind and think about your crowns. Let's talk about being a king. Do you know what Dr. Martin Luther King's dream was? Now I lost my book, but at the end of the book, it talks about his dream. His dream was that we could live in an America that's full of diversity, that we could live together in peace and unity, and that this would be a place where we would all be treated with fairness and equality. And so that no matter what color skin we have, no matter if we're boys or girls or men or women, if we're rich or poor, or young or old, or we speak English or another language, that we would all be treated fairly, have the same opportunities to do the great things that we're capable of doing. And he shared that dream with America almost 60 years ago. Do you think that dream has come true? Do we live in a place like that right now? I think we need to help to make that dream come true. And so that's why we need to put on our crowns. They can be imaginary, or maybe you can make yourself a crown like I did. But put on our crowns and be like King, Dr. Martin Luther King, to keep his dream alive, to treat each other with love and kindness and respect and equality and fairness. And that's what I want you to think about as you celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King this year. Remember, no voice is too small to make an impact. Even a little person can give some warm fuzzies and be kind to others and wear a crown. So wear your crown, pass a little peace and love wherever you go. Not a little peace and love, pass a lot of peace and love wherever you go. All right, here's some from me. Take some, pass it on, and I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. Bye, friends.